A Buddhist monk walks up to a hot dog vendor and says, "Make me one with everything." So the monk reached inside his jacket, produced a handgun, and demanded his change. The vendor said, "But violence doesn't achieve anything." The monk responded, "What are you talking about? I am showing you my inner peace." Someone tried this gag on the Dalai Lama. The monk asks, "Can I at least have a receipt?" The vendor replied, "I emailed you one." The monk says, "But it came with no attachments." His pocket was enlightened. Ha! Say Oli Kimpen Sateli. A Buddhist monk walks up to a hot dog vendor and says, "Give me a German Shepherd and a mongrel." Hottie. End of joke. You hear the one about the Buddhist vacuum. It comes with no attachments. A boy named David Butlicker is teased in school. His family built this country. I had a crush on a girl with the last name Crapster. Not a joke, just a fact. He now kicks for the Chiefs. If you think he has it bad, talk to his sister Wendy. There was a man whose family built a business named after themselves, Loblaws. The newest son to take over the business was named Robert, but insisted on being called Bob. So when he introduced himself, he'd say, "Hi, I'm Bob Loblaw of Loblaws." I wonder if anyone ever responded, "Yeah, well, I'm yada yada yada." Damn Harry, how he liked Butlicker all along, lol. An engineer goes to hell. So, we are led to believe hell's fire and damnation is simply due to poor maintenance. The real joke here is the engineer using Fahrenheit to measure temperature. Good old 91. I was futilely waiting for the engineer to change the oil filter on a car they designed. Hummus filed paperwork. As an engineer, this is a real problem in the having drawings not to scale. Holy shit, I heard this joke like 20 years ago. And it's since then been one of my stand-bys for appropriate yet still funny for adults. A good icebreaker for the office or meeting the parents, etc. is the first time in my life I've come across someone else who has heard it. Sometimes I wish there was a 23andMe for jokes to trace its history. Being mostly naked in public is only okay if there's water nearby. Instructions unclear. I brought a bottle of water out to the mall while wearing just a brief and I'm now off to the station. And this is why I'm banned from the aquarium. Be reasonable. You expect me to wear clothes near water. You haven't been on a college campus lately. This is surprisingly flexible. Being shirtless for dudes or effectively without pants via microskirt or Daisy Dukes for girls is pretty common. It just looks low class. Best class half-naked people are always the most fun and or crazy. OP hasn't been to a track meet lately. How much did the pirate pay for his peg and hook? I'm not wrong. What did the lesbian pirate with to peg leg say to Hermie Timbers? Urark, just take me upvote and get your scurvy R's off me shores. And you know how much he paid for corn? $1 an ear. How much does a pirate charge you to pierce your ear? It's about $1 an ear, buccaneer. All his booty. I was gonna guess he paid out of the booty for it. He should just have tortented it from Pirate Bay. For me, the word woodpecker always sounded like a 16th century pirate prosthetics following some horrible battle wound. Pirate joke after spending the day listening to the Deuce Banger Peg though. Are you sure, mate? An arm and a leg. At least he didn't give up the booty. My fitness instructor advised me to wear loose clothing while exercising. Gym jokes. Vaginas are like gyms. I'm rarely inside one. But when I am, I just sort of pretend to know what I'm doing and hope no one notices I don't. This is actually a pretty good joke. I thought you were gonna say, so I put on a condom. I have loose morals. Will that do? I liked it because relatable. Joined the gym and got a trainer because you can't buy new clothes. Funny. Okay, this one took me a while. 500th like. Someone hands you $50,000 in cash and says you know what to do. So what are you doing? Keep that shit safe. I'm not spending a dime. If they come back for it, I ain't having some no country for old men shit. Put it on red, double, or nothing, baby. Give it back and run. Getting indebted to unknown people can only lead to disaster. I'd go to my house, panic for a bit, then buy some weed and go to Texas Roadhouse after. Double it and give it to the next person. Just get in the car. There's no time to explain. Invest it so when they inevitably ask for it back, I can return it with interest. 2 chicks at the same time. Say thank you. Till then, Joseph McCarthy was addicted to morphine at the end of his life, and his supplier was the head of the Federal Bureau of Narcotics. He boasted to reporters that the reason he could drink so much was because he ate a whole stick of butter every day to coat his guts with grease so the booze wouldn't give him an ulcer. Well, who else would you go to? The head of the Federal Bureau of Narcotics. Just like with everything else, the people banging the loudest drums about a moral panic are usually immoral assholes themselves. McCarthy and Cohn fucked over this nation with their red and lavender scares. And we're feeling the impacts still. Edit for those who are interested in learning more. What's knife missling my weddings? Til that Zhou Enlai, a key figure in Chinese history, wasn't informed of his bladder cancer under Mao's orders, Mao prohibiting him and his wife from being informed of the diagnosis, surgery, or further examinations, despite later offers of foreign medical help. Zhou started to question the damage done to people in the name of the Cultural Revolution, and he also advocated for friendly relationships with Western nations. He got too popular and became a threat to Mao's reign of terror. The best thing Mao did for China was die. What an asshole. Historians widely consider Mao Zedong to have been not a great guy. Your second sentence is incomplete. This is going to end up on our shit liberal say. Okay. Til that in France, bars can't have a happy hour without also making non-alcoholic drinks cheaper. Come to the bar with us. But I don't drink. You can drink iced tea or soda. At like $7 a fucking glass, yes. Bar I drank a lot in Paris didn't charge for soft drinks. So if someone was driving they didn't pay for drinks, no one drove though, as the underground was. Fantastic. Seems fair enough. I mean, cool, but it's not like when you're the designated driver you sit there and pound 17 to keep pace with the boys, so the real financial impact probably won't be huge. Happy hour is banned in 8 states. What things are seen as weird by the younger generation that we need to normalize again? Not being accessible all the time. Just because I have a cell phone doesn't mean I want to answer it at the supermarket, or while cooking dinner, or while driving. That's cool that my boss checks emails in his Tesla driving 20 minutes to work, but I would rather not. I need a break. Not bringing your phone into the sauna steam room. Internet privacy. Holding your phone to your ear when talking. Not having social media. Apparently now not being on whatever sites is a red flag. Be 100 meters away from the nearest adult. Going to the library. Just working out in a gym without the need to record yourself. Being quiet at the movies. What women's activity should males start performing immediately? Pelvic floor exercises, incredibly important if you don't want to end up incontinent. Probably not mentioned enough for women, but almost never mentioned as important for men. Going to the doctor. I did not actively avoid going for physicals. I just never thought of it. Last week I spent 5 days in the hospital for a flare-up of easier ways to be diagnosed than being rushed to the ER. Yoga and sewing. The first one to keep yourself limber. The second because everybody should know at least some basics, such as replacing a button on a shirt. Skincare for sure. Stimulating the clit. I'm a record store owner back for a third time. Ask me anything. Nice try, Alden Brown. When are we getting the new season of Good Eats? Back for a third time. That's probably a record of its own. What is your most requested? Many people come in saying their record is messed up, but they don't know about speeds. What's your favorite record cleaner? In what ways has owning a record store contributed to your own collection record habits? I am considering starting a web distro and feel like I would end up keeping 30 of the stock I order. Lol. In none of the nearly 50 Tarzan movies did anyone like the actual plot of the book enough to use it. Can we all agree that Tarzan has definitely been sexually involved with some of those apes? 50 Tarzan movies, when, where? Didn't he become a raft pilot in a book, get shot down over Indonesia and had to live in the wild again? That's nothing. Consider this Ian Fleming's first JB book, Casino Royale, had a plot where Le Chiffre is a paymaster for a French Communist Party trade union and also a Russian spy. And that never got into the movies either. The plot of the book is pretty odd and has serious pro-colonizer vibes. In book sequels, there are explicit racial themes. Tell about popcorn lung, a disease caused by a chemical in artificial butter flavoring. In 2012, a microwavable popcorn consumer was awarded $7.27 million United States dollars in damages after contracting the disease. Workers at the microwave popcorn plant came down with it. Pretty sure the plant closed down. TAL of the Edinburgh Seven, the first women to matriculate at a British university in 1869. The university discriminated them with charging higher fees as they arrived at their anatomy exam. Several hundred male students pelted them with mud and other objects and shoved a sheep into the exam hall. Medical students in the UK throughout the 19th century were considered particularly prone to antisocial disorder, sometimes going as far as riot and assault. For instance, in 1890, a 14-year-old girl alleged that she had been raped by a medical student while being treated at London Hospital. The police organized an ID parade of students at the hospital, but she failed to identify anybody. As she left the premises, she was mobbed by medical students who jeered and hooted at her. TAL that 40 of the population of Deerfield, Massachusetts, was kidnapped in 1704, mostly women and children. Lots of kidnappings in the 1700s. We're so pessimistic these days. Why can't we frame this as 60 of the population not being kidnapped? This was normal back in those days if you were on the frontier. There's a lot of towns in New England that had similar stories like Dover, Haverhill, MA, and York, Me. Before that it was called Peoplefield, Massachusetts. What is a dead giveaway that someone is creepy or a weirdo? Anyone else reading this to see if they're weirdo, or just me and my social anxiety? They don't understand personal space. They constantly have interactions where everyone else is completely crazy. Normal people don't get banned from Costco, spit on gas station attendants, and get tased by the cops. If this shit happens to you, you're probably a creepy weirdo. And yes, I'm sure all of your ex-girlfriends were the problem. Chris Hansen asks them to have a seat. Grown men who tell teenage girls that they're mature for their age. when they're stone sober and trying to pick up super drunk people at the bar. They're a moderator on Reddit. Where's my hug?